Enough talk. Let's get started.
Hello, and welcome to the Wash Sports Podcast. All your Seattle sports, all in one place. I'm your host, Lestro, but we got a whole bunch of people working here behind the scenes. We got Marku and the Guru, who you're going to hear later. And we're just a bunch of East Coast guys who happen to live here now. And we're passionate sports fans, and this is a great sports town. So we're going to cover it like it deserves. Here's the deal. You can count on us to be homers. We're here to cover the teams, we're here to analyze the decisions, and we're here to second-guess everybody. But make no mistake, we're rooting for Seattle. Unless they're playing the Phillies, of course. So that's it. All your Seattle sports, all in one pod. If it happens in Seattle sports, it comes out in the wash. So Marku, let's bring our man Marku in here. Marku, it's good to talk to you again, buddy.
Yo, what's good, Lester? How's the week been?
It's been pretty good, man. Pretty good. It's not been pretty good if you've been watching the Mariners, though. I'll tell you that much. Not a fun thing for the Mariners fans this week, Marku.
Hey, it looks like we're in mid-season form already. It's pretty good.
That's what I'm talking about. So we got a great show coming up this week. We got, of course, those Mariners woe continues. We're gonna try and look for some bright spots. We gotta look at the Seahawks schedule. Finally, look at the schedule as they're reporting to OTAs with the Guru. We got the Sounders win one and tie one. We got more bad news for the Storm. We got a huge win for the Seawolves. We got our South Sound check-in. We got the college wrap-up. Exciting news in that too, and even more than that. But Marku, before we get started here, I had to ask you about something, man. I don't know if you saw this. Right after we recorded the show last week and got it out there was a report about Kevin Durant, former Supersonic Kevin Durant, now injured member of the Western Conference champion Golden State Warriors, about his impending free agency. The guy who wrote a book about Kevin Durant said that while everybody thinks he's going to the Knicks, the LA Clippers are actually in contention for Durant. And the reason is, and this is the interesting thing, the reason is because it's possible that that Durant considers their chances of winding back in Seattle the best. That it's the Clippers that could end up back here in Seattle, and Durant loves Seattle, considers it a, quote, special place, feels like it's his home, and would love to, retire in Seattle. And I looked into this a little bit. I think it's a little bit crazy, Marku, but here's the deal. Steve Ballmer, owner of the Clippers, still lives here in King County. Their lease is up at Staples Center in 2024, and they don't currently have a new building or even plans and land and a new building in process. They're in litigation to get some sort of land deal going on there. So, brand new glittering shiny arena at Key Arena with the new Supersonics court we saw the drawings of this week, and then maybe lures them back. What do you think? Kevin Durant retiring to Supersonic?
Dude, this is a stretch for me. I don't know about any of this story. I mean, first of all, Kevin Durant being loyal to Seattle, I don't believe any of that. He wasn't loyal to OKC at all. Like, why would you just be loyal to Seattle after being here for 1 year? The guy's from DC. Like, he's got no obligation to Seattle. It just really it kind of irks me when I hear stories like this, because it's like, just because the guy, played one season in Seattle does not mean he has any kind of loyalty to the city at all. They came and played the last game in Key Arena during the preseason, right before they started construction, and everyone glorified Kevin Durant. He's like a savior, like a messiah, and it's just like, dude, the guy was here for 1 year, and maybe it's just because I'm a Knicks fan. I'm like, wait, I don't want him going to the Clippers because he thinks he can go to Seattle. Not until 2024. That's going to be. He's gonna be an old man by that point. It's gonna be pointless. But yeah, I don't know about any of that. Just it's kind of a weird story.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see a lot of possibility with him going to the Clippers, and I really don't see much of a possibility of the Clippers coming here to Seattle. Now, the Kings, maybe. The Pelicans, maybe. But I don't see it being the Clippers, even though Ballmer does live here. But I think
Pelicans. That's an interesting one. I like the Pelicans. The Kings, they got a new stadium, so they're going to be there for the long haul. But the Clippers, they're staying at Staples Center. That's going to be their home. They've called it home for a while. Everyone in LA shares that stadium now. But no, I don't know, the whole Seattle getting a team thing. I think the best opportunity would be New Orleans because they're playing at the Smoothie King Center. They have no fans out there.
No fans.
Like the Zion thing went down, and no one really hollered out from the Pelicans side of things except for their front office.
Yeah, it was crickets. That's what you heard from Pelicans fans because there aren't any Pelicans fans down there. They are lowest in attendance. They finish in like 26th or 27th in the league in attendance every year. Terrible scene down there, but. I'll tell you, as you said, East Coast guys, you Knicks fan, I'll tell you how you know why I don't trust this report is that it's from the New York Post. And so just knowing that this is a report in the New York Post makes me say it's at least 65% bullshit to begin with.
There you go. That's enough said right there. New York Post. Always stirring up bullshit with Kevin Durant anyway. That's
their motto. New York Post, at least 65% bullshit. I'm pretty sure that's their motto. All right, well, let's talk about the sports that are going on here in Seattle, Marku. I want to talk about the Mariners a little bit. Obviously, baseball season, my favorite time of year, and nothing quite like going out to the ball yard, except when they are getting their asses handed to them, as the Mariners did this past weekend against the Minnesota Twins. That Twins team came in here and just dominated. The Mariners, since we last talked, they picked up a two-game home series against the Athletics last week. They won two of them. They won both of those games, 6-5 and then 4-3. Kikuchi, another shining game for him. And then the Twins came in, and I warned you about this series coming in that it could get ugly, and it did, man. 11-6, 7-1, 18-4. And then they did pick up a win at the end, 7-4. Kikuchi once again being a bright spot. On the road against the Rangers, two more losses, 10-9 and 5-3. Bright spot in that 10-9 is that they came back to get 9. They almost got that. And then a 5-3 loss again on Tuesday on that. So what's going on here, Marku? What are we looking at?
We're looking at some terrible starting pitching across the board, except for Kikuchi, of course. But terrible starting pitching. Wade LeBlanc got rocked in his game. Only went 2.1 innings.
Yeah, Wade LeBlanc back from the injured list for his first game back from the injured list. Thrown right into the buzzsaw that is the Twins. Threw 49 pitches, gave up 4 home runs, 7 earned runs.
Yeah, and then Swanson as well went, only 3 innings against the Twins over the weekend and gave up 8 earned runs. Marco also got lit up for 5 earned runs, which is pretty unusual. Starting pitching is really the problem. The Leak last night got hit up for 7 earned runs over 5 innings. So as much as we've been crapping on the bullpen this whole season, it's been a tough week for the starting pitchers.
Which, let's be fair, the bullpen is crap, deserves to be crapped on, but this week really has been the starting pitchers. Now, a lot of this can be attributed to the Twins, who are just monsters right now. That lineup is up and down, just crushing the ball, and but this is not a particularly a good stretch for the starting 5 out there for the Mariners. As we said, I think Kikuchi is the bright spot, though. I mean, looking at his line since he had that 1 inning pitched at the end of April or whatever it was, he's been real good. His ERA's been around 2. He's 5-1. The Mariners are 5-1 in his 6 starts, and he's the guy that they're going to stop the skids. He's the stopper right now. You know what I mean? Like, when he comes in, they get a chance to reset. He's picking up that sort of ace position on the team right now and throwing really, really well.
Yeah, with a little bit of a slide from Marco, it's really great to see Kikuchi shine as well as he has. He's really been dazzling in the last couple of starts. Pitched well against the Yankees a couple weeks ago too. He's just kind of really finding his stride here in his rookie season. It's really exciting to watch because like you said, he's stopping the losing streak every time. Basically, Marco's been struggling, Leak's been struggling since the start of the season. Wade coming back from injury. we got these new young guys coming in from Tacoma now, and you can't really rely on them. So Kikuchi's been fun to watch. Really great pickup for the team. So hopefully it keeps up.
Yeah, it's now 3-1. The team 5-1 in his last 6 starts, but he is only at 3-1. Overall ERA a 3.43. That last game we were talking about against those Twins on Sunday. Again, that's a great lineup they got going there. He held them to 5 hits, 3 runs, only one of them earned. So that's pretty good. 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. So Kikuchi, the bright spot right now. But let's be honest, the hitting every now and again, man. This team can break out the bats just as easily as we saw the other night when they almost came back in that game against the Rangers. It turned out to be a 10-9 loss, but puncher's chance this team has on every game. They are in that game. They scored 4 in the 8th and 3 in the 9th, but could not put it over the top to tie the game there in the 9th inning. This team still leads the league in runs, home runs, and RBI. Also leads the league in strikeouts, but it again, that's pretty good. This is a team that can get right on top of you, man.
Absolutely. I mean, the team is still fun to watch. They're still always in it. I mean, even though that we are 5th and last in the AL West, we're only 2.5 games behind the second place spot. We're 11 games behind the Astros, but
Astros finally looking like the Astros again.
Correct, right. So I mean, it's still a fun team to watch. They're young, they're processing. So we did kind of know this is who they were. So we kind of should expect this. But if we got a punter's chance in each game, that's good enough for me as a baseball fan. Yeah,
especially a team we don't expect to do anything this year. It's again, as always, watching this team develop. This is a workman season. Anything from here is gravy. Had that 13-2 start. We got to see what they could do. So did the rest of the league. Figured them out right away, and has been not a good team since then. But at the same time, puncher's chance every game. You get down to watch the game, you might be the lucky one. If Kikuchi's pitching, he's going to hold him to a couple of runs, and hell, those bats may break out and hit you a few dingers.
Absolutely.
All right, so from the boys of spring and summer to the boys of autumn, let's give our call to our buddy the Guru and talk a little Seahawks. We're gonna look at the schedule coming up here. What do you think, Marku?
Oh man, I'm excited to talk schedule with the Guru. He's got it all.
All right, let's see if he's there. Hang on just a second. Guru, are you there, my man?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There he is. There he is. The Guru. You can find the Guru every week with me on Trash Talk Radio, everywhere you can find podcasts. You can find the Guru every day on Guru's Film Room on Instagram. Guru's Film Room, it's just his thoughts. How you doing, buddy?
Man, I am living the dream. Always. It's a pleasure to talk to you guys, man. Always. Marku, always around the world over here in Seattle. Always everywhere, man. If there's any sports related, Marku is always on it, bro. I tell you.
That's right.
Man, it's a busy town.
Out there on Seattle Sports Twitter. That's at Seattle S Sports, Seattle Sports Twitter. Look for Marku there and find him every day. Guru, man, we were calling you here to talk about some Seahawks schedule. I know you're our man out there in Renton. Got to know about the schedule. We've been talking about other stuff getting here. Finally getting to this. It was released a little while ago. I want you to do a little prognostication for us, man. I want you to look ahead at this schedule and tell us what you see when you peer into the future of the Seahawks.
This is a very tough schedule, in my opinion, and from the looks of it, I don't see the Seahawks. Obviously, I think that it is a rebuilding situation going on right now, but that's actually might not be noticeable to the most because obviously of the greatness of Russell Wilson, but really this is a rebuilding period. So the scheduling, in some sense, because people might look at Seattle as the reputation that they are still a Legion of Boom and this and that, have Bobby Wagner, situation like that, they will sometimes overrate the Seahawks in my head. Right now, I think it's a rebuilding period. And the schedule fit perfectly in that tier range of, the Seahawks. We're having a special quarterback like Russell Wilson, and you could see a couple of wins that most other franchises or most teams who don't have a caliber like Russell Wilson we'll go take an L rather than a W.
So this year begins at home against the Cincinnati Bengals on September 8th. The schedule goes Bengals, then
and that should be a home opener. That should be a W. So I'm giving them a W for the Bengals already. Take that as a one and no start. The Seahawks gonna lose home openers. That just don't happen on the Pete Carroll's era.
Nah, especially against the Cincinnati Bengals. Come on, man. So then they head out to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. So I'll just run through this real quick, and when we get to the ones that you think are these are big matchups. So it's the Bengals, then at Steelers, then home against the.
I think the Steelers is definitely a big one. I think the Steelers are gonna win their division, and I think the Seahawks second game traveling to the East Coast in an early game. That's at 10 o'clock our time zone here. So I think that's going to be a tough matchup, so I'm giving them an L that game.
Against the Steelers. Home again the week after against the New Orleans Saints. That's another tough game.
Absolutely. Obviously, that's a tough game. The Saints are going to be one of the heavy favorites to go to the Super Bowl. Obviously, they were a blown call away from representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. So I obviously think that's going to be another tough game, and I think the Saints just have a little bit too much for the Seahawks currently. And I see the Seahawks starting 1 and 2 right now.
The Saints, the first of the NFC South teams that they're playing this year. It seems the matchup that the schedule, because there's always like that. It seems the NFC South are the teams this year, and the Saints the first one of those. That's a tough division that got to make their way through. So Saints at home, we see Guru says a loss on that one as well. Then they head to Arizona for the first divisional matchup down there against the even more rebuilding Cardinals. This one I got to figure is a win.
Oh, absolutely. We don't got to say much about this. It's a quick one. They will equalize. They're going 2-2, facing the Rams. The game after that.
Yep, the Rams Week 5. This is a big one. This is an 8:00 game. This is a prime time game for the Seahawks taking on the Rams at home.
Don't lose at home prime time with Pete Carroll. We know that's going to be a big game. The Seahawks will come up on top of that game. Russell Wilson, this is one of them games, having a guy like Russell Wilson flip it. So you see the Seahawks winning, going 3-2, heading into the next week.
So that gives us at 3-2 after Week 5. The next week is the Cleveland Browns at Cleveland Browns. These are some big talking Cleveland Browns this year, Guru. Are they going to be any match for the Seahawks?
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't like another game flying all the way to the East Coast in the early morning. And I think this is going to be one of those games that Browns are going to be hyped. They're going to be exciting. And I think the Seahawks going to start out slow. And I think the Browns somehow are going to pull this off. And I think this is going to be one of them upset games that I see the Hawks losing that game as well. Just because I just don't like that traveling to the East Coast. They don't normally do well early in the year with making those travels. So I see them losing that game, making their records to 3-3.
Fly all the way home then to take on the Baltimore Ravens. Their new quarterback, Lamar Jackson, getting the reins of that team officially at the start of this season. What do you think of the Ravens coming in here to Seattle on October 20th?
I think the Ravens are also in the rebuilding period, but they don't have a Russell Wilson. The Seahawks will overmatch them, overwhelm them, and that will be a good victory for the Seahawks after that loss from Cleveland. So I see a 4-3 record after that.
Another NFC South team the following week headed to Atlanta to take on the Falcons.
Once again, I just hate the early game schedule going into Atlanta, another East Coast game. I just don't like how the schedule is set up with them going every other game, traveling so many games to the East Coast. That's just going to wear you out. I see them losing that game in a tough game. Place to play in the Dome in Atlanta to bring their record to 4-4.
Yeah, that has really been back and forth so far. Speaking of that, back again in Seattle for another game against the NFC South. This one against the Bucs, though. They should probably win this one.
Absolutely. With the Bucs, also another team they're rebuilding, but they don't have Russell Wilson, so the Seahawks should win that game. So that should be, a 5-4 record.
Yeah, then they got one more before the bye week, another divisional. They are headed to San Francisco, so it's on the road, but it's not across country against the 49ers. Jimmy G and the 49ers on November 11th. Divisional matchup, 8:00 game. What do you think?
I think this is going to be mark this game down. I think this is going to be
That's
the
going to be a
biggest
Monday
game of
night,
the
right?
season. Yeah, I think this game right there is going to decide on right there. The 49ers game is going to dictate if the Seahawks are going to go to the playoff or if they're going to miss the playoff. This game right there, mark that down. And this moment right now, starting right now, bearing no injuries, I think the 49ers just have enough to beat the Seahawks at home on a primetime game. And I just love Jimmy G and Shanahan. Shanny always gives Pete and then problems. I just think the 49ers have just enough. Bearing any injuries, they will defeat the Seahawks to bring the record to 5-5.
That gives 5-5 heading into the bye week, week 11. If they lose the 49ers that week, that'll be a chance to lick their wounds and figure out what's going on. But there's no time to rest because they fly all the way across the country after the bye week on November 24th for a Sunday night game against the Philadelphia Eagles. This is... Who knows what this one could be? This one could go, as I'm thinking, either way. Who knows if Carson Wentz will even be playing at that time? It's week 12.
If bearing any injuries, once again, I just don't like this. Even though it's coming from a bye, I don't like that trip out there. And this is a primetime game, so I think it's going to be Russell Wilson and those boys are going to fight hard. But I think the Eagles, who going into this season, are going to be one of the high favorite as far as representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. I think the Phillies going to pull a slight field goal victory in this game.
Come back home the following week for another Monday night game. Another Monday night game on ESPN against the Minnesota Vikings coming into Seattle.
My distant cousins, this is a great team to lick their wounds out to, man. My distant cousin is not Russ. I think the Seahawks will defeat the Vikings, which will get their records to 6-6.
Yep, still 6-6, right on that bubble, that 500 as they get into the home stretch. Here's the final run of the season goes Rams, Panthers, Cardinals, 49ers. They are at the Rams on week 14. This is another Sunday night game as currently scheduled. Seahawks at Rams. This is if you're paying attention at home, this is 3 or 4 primetime games in a row. They get the Monday night game against the Niners. They get a bye week. They get a Sunday night game against the Eagles. They get a Monday night game against the Vikings, and they're right back on Sunday night against the Rams on December 8th. Big matchup.
Big matchup. Huge matchup. Bearing any injuries right now, the Rams are just slightly ahead of them, and I think the Rams will make up from that earlier loss they had in Seattle was coming up for a victory against the Seahawks that game.
Whew, so that drops them to what? 6-7 at that point, headed to Carolina. Final NFC South matchup of the season, headed to Carolina to take on the Panthers and Cam Newton. What do you think here?
This is a perfect time to play the Carolina Panthers because I'm predicting either the coach will be fired, who'll be in the hot seat, something will be happening because I don't think Rivera is going to last in Carolina. I think the Panthers would already be pack it in, already set for the season. It's going to be done by the time they play Carolina. So that's a great time for the Seahawks to go out there and just finish the Panthers. And I feel them winning that game to make it even their record to 7-7.
So it's 7-7, 2 games left, 2 home games left after a lot of back and forth across the country. 2 divisional rivals. They got the Arizona Cardinals at home just before Christmas on December 22nd. I'm just going to pencil this one in for a win. I don't think there's much to talk about here.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the final game of the season on December 29th, they host the San Francisco 49ers here in Seattle. With that point, they're looking at, what do you have their record here? They got them 6, 7, 8, and 7 at that point.
7.
Do they go 9-7, or do they go 8-8? And does it get them into or out of the playoffs?
9-7. Definitely going to go 9-7, and that's when it's going to be a mesh in that 9-7 range. But hopefully that asteroid game, and I believe if they sweep the 49ers, they will go make the playoff. But if they get a split, then that's when it's going to be kind of a battle because I think they're going to battle Atlanta, for that wild card because but Atlanta probably they're going to win head to head, and I also believe they're going to battle Minnesota as well. and they're going to actually win over head-to-head against Minnesota. And I also feel like they're going to battle. I forgot which other team I believe they're going to battle as far as the wild card. They'll be battling the Eagles as well. I believe they're going to battle the Eagles as well. So that head-to-head matchup. So I don't see them really doing well as far as the head-to-head matchup, and that's why I said they might, in my right now, with they're going in, they're going to go 9-7 and just miss the playoffs.
Oh, and just missed the playoffs at 9-7. That'd be too bad. I think 9-7 sounds like a good record on that. It's hard to argue with what you're saying on a lot of those games. A few of them could go either way. The Browns game could go either way. That team might be fantastic. They might be crap. It's hard to know. The Panthers the same way. This could be the year that they finally figure it out and Riverboat Ron gets it working with Cam Newton and that. But I think 9-7 looks like a pretty good record with this schedule going through. I hope it's enough to get them into the playoffs.
Absolutely, and like I said, this is a rebuilding team right now. In any other franchise, this would be a 5-11 team. So 9-7, Russell always have a winning record. He's going to fight and scratch his way. And you never know in the NFL. 9-7 might get in, but I just think it's going to be tough next year as far as the way the team is set up and the way the schedule is set up for a 9-7 team in the NFC West with the emergence of the 49ers, who I believe is going to be a surprise for everyone. It's going to be very difficult for a 9-7 team to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, good division this year, NFC West. Of course, the what looks to be the punching bag is going to be the Arizona Cardinals with their second rookie quarterback in as many seasons down there. But aside from that, pretty good teams up and down in the NFC West. So it should be some good football. Guru, my man, before we let you go, I just want to ask if you've heard anything coming out of the OTAs, out of minicamp out there in Renton. They seem to be doing okay. The footage I've seen are Russell Wilson completing passes and to DK Metcalf, and that's all I need to know.
Hey, the only thing you need to know is there's no injuries. That's all you need to know. That's what matters, and that's right. What we care about is those.
Knock on wood.
That's the most important thing.
Knock on wood. All right, my man. Thank you, as always, for joining us here on The Wash to talk a little Seahawks. That is the Guru. You can find him every week on Trash Talk Radio with me, everywhere you can find podcasts. You can find him on the WOSNshop.com right now. It is his thoughts, and you can find him on Instagram at Guru's Film Room. Guru's Film Room on Instagram. It's just his thoughts. Thanks again, brother. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, bro. Appreciate y'all, man. Talk to y'all later.
Thanks, Guru.
All right, our thanks as always to the Guru Marku back here, just you and I on The Wash. Let's take this moment to tell everybody that they can find The Wash everywhere you can find podcasts. It's on Apple, it's on Google, it's on Spotify. Do us a favor, leave us a review, leave us a rating, let us know how we're doing. You can find Marku, as I said, at Seattle S Sports. That's Seattle's Sports on Twitter. Make sure you follow him. He's covering everything all the time out there in Seattle. If you're looking for me, Lestro, I am at More or Lestro on Twitter. All right, so Marku, let's look at some of the other things going on here. We got the Seahawks, we got the Mariners, but that is not the only games in town. As always, the Sounders are a big name here, and the Sounders season. This week they picked up a win and then another tie. They've been on a bit of a winless run before that win against Orlando City, and then the tie against the Philadelphia Union. What's going on here with the Sounders?
Sounders having a solid start to the season. They're they're second place in the Western Conference. They had a little skid without any wins, but at least they weren't piling on any losses.
No losses. Just a winless streak, but not a losing streak.
Right, they're the 3 straight ties, and that's kind of, and they had one loss during that streak, but they're a solid team. Raul Ruiz came back from an ankle injury, and he
big news him
Orlando
coming back
City.
and scoring right away, getting back in his first game.
Yeah, when he's on the field, on the pitch, we're definitely a much better team scoring wise. So it's great to have him back. But like I said, we're still in second place, only trailing LAFC. And we got a away game this Sunday against Sporting KC. They're pretty bad. They're second to last in the West, so should be a victory. But it's if they walk away with a tie, it wouldn't be too disappointing. Yeah,
as long as you don't want a loss, but it seems sometimes this team kind of plays down to their opponents. You know what I mean? Like they play. It's the team that can play really well, but against the teams that they should beat, they just don't always beat them. It seems like they're not losing, but
no, they're not dominating in the fashion that we'd want them to, but
that we're used to.
It's still early. It's almost June. They should find the stride by the end of next month. So that's when I think we can really start judging.
And like you said,
they're a threat.
Like you said, still second in the standings here behind who? Only LAFC, right?
Yeah, definitely. Doing well compared to the rest of the West. I mean, it's probably more even West Conference this year because we got 7 wins, 5 ties. But like you said, we only got 1 loss, which is keeping us at the top of the table.
Okay, from the Sounders to the Storm, good news to bad. The Storm, more bad news, Marku, for the Seattle Storm as Sue Bird, legend, women's basketball legend, Sue Bird is out indefinitely, could miss the entire season. She apparently needs arthroscopic surgery on her left knee to remove a loose body. Knew something was up here. She didn't play in either of the preseason games. We'll get to them in a second, but Sue Bird out indefinitely. More bad news for the Storm, which was going to have to try and the world champion Storm, which was going to have to try and defend their title without Brianna Stewart, the MVP, who tore her Achilles over there in the EuroLeague. So just more not the news you want to start the season on here, Marku, because they're about to start their season. As we said, two preseason games in the WNBA. Looks like they win one, lose one. Is that what I'm looking at?
Yeah, tough off season for sure with the injuries. They started preseason this past week and they split 1-1, winning their home game, losing their away game. They played Phoenix at home and LA on the road, and Pasadena at some little college stadium. But really tough offseason, man. For the defending champs, it doesn't look good for their title quest to defend the championship. But
no,
because we lost Brianna Stewart, we lost our coach for a little bit. We don't know if he'll be back this season. And Sue Bird, she's the GOAT. I mean, in that series against the Mercury last year, she and Diana Taurasi went head to head, and it was just so fun to watch. So really sad to hear about that. Really surprising too. I didn't expect that news today. But,
yeah, me neither. Knew something was up because she wasn't playing, but did not expect a season-ending injury announcement. Now, on a high note, just out indefinitely. We don't know it's for the season, but this kind of thing, arthroscopic surgery on the knee, that's the recovery period on this is going to be most of, if not all of the season to get back. But on a high note, Sue Bird, I heard her say that somewhere that she is doing this so that she can keep playing. The whole point is that so she can keep playing. She's getting it fixed now so she can play again. So that is the good news here, is that Sue Bird will be back on the court with the Storm at some point.
And another good thing is the season starts this Saturday. Really, really exciting. They're going to be playing the Phoenix Mercury at home. They're
who they just beat.
Home.
Let's remember who they just beat. So they should be back home here. Although home, not where home used to be.
Yeah. Hopefully we get a home opening win. But it's our backup home. So they're playing at Everett Angels of the Wind Stadium. Up north because of the construction at Key Arena. They'll be playing there until June 23rd when they move to UW's Alaska Airlines Arena for the rest of the season. But yeah, it's just a really tough off season for the Storm just because they lost their stadium, they lost their MVP, they lost their coach, they lost the GOAT. I mean, it's going to be an interesting start to the season, but they have a good squad of young players, so a lot to be excited about still.
Yeah, I'm an old guy. This is the kind of thing my dad would call character building when I was a kid. This is a character building season for this team. So we'll see what they can do.
This is where we learn.
Yep, this is exactly it. So good luck to the Storm. I'll behind you as always. But man, that's some shit news to start that season off with. Losing Brianna Stewart is bad enough, but at least you get Sue Bird out there. And nope, lose them both. Before even playing a game. So
yeah.
All right. So from bad news to good news, this week down there in Tukwila are the Seattle, your other world champions here in Seattle, the Major League Rugby world champion Seattle Seawolves. This week went on the road to Glendale and pulled out some history down there, Marku.
Yeah, absolutely. First win, first loss ever for Glendale at their home stadium, and it was a big, big win for the Seawolves because it really catapulted them to third place. Really, so hopefully solidified a home court advantage during the playoffs. But huge win. They won 53-36. Really a really tense game. Glendale, kept it close throughout, but it was the first loss ever in Rugby Town, USA, as I say in quotes, because we're the city that always sells out.
Yeah, right. Rugby Town, USA. Now, that is the home of USA Rugby. They are considered a great town. They'd never lost at home. Now, the Seawolves did beat them in the championship last year. The only time the Seawolves were able to get past them last year was in that final championship game. But this is a big win. Head down there in Glenville and come out. This is nothing to sneeze at. 53-36 win. This is a good win for the Seawolves. Feel good about the Seawolves right now. They got 2 games left. What would you say? They were third in the MLR behind San Diego Legion, who this week leapt ahead of NOLA Gold to take the top of the table. And then so it's San Diego, NOLA, and then your Seattle Seawolves, your champion Seattle Seawolves. They got 2 games left, Marku. They are both winnable games. They are both home games, and they are both winnable games. The first one coming up this week against the Utah Warriors. This is a team that is not doing as well as they would have liked so far this season. And then the final game of the season, I don't have it here against who that one's against. Another completely winnable game for your Seattle Seawolves.
Yeah, the last game's against Austin, and Austin's horrible. They haven't even won a single game this season.
They're in last place. So we've got
they're dead last. They don't have a single win this year, so they're awful. I would be surprised if they're still around next year.
It's that kind of league.
Right.
So like we said, great win for the Seawolves. 2 more winnable games coming up. Head down there if you can, because again, sells out every game. Glendale may not have lost at home, but Seattle sells out every game. Typical Seattle crowd, real loud, real energetic, real fun. Go see the Seawolves down there at Starfire in Tukwila. All right, so let's then head down to the South Sound. We got 3 teams playing at Cheney Stadium, calling Cheney Stadium home this year. 2 soccer teams and a baseball team. Let's see, we got the Rain FC picked up a 2-1 win against the Sky Blue FC this week with Julie James and Jody Taylor scoring the goals here for the Rain FC. That makes their record on the year 1-3-1. So good to get the win, get off the schneid and get the win under the belt down there at Cheney Stadium. Their next match is Monday, the 27th, Memorial Day. Memorial Day Monday at Cheney Stadium. What better place to spend Memorial Day than at a baseball stadium watching soccer against the NC Courage at home down there. The other team playing at Cheney Stadium, of course, is the Tacoma Defiance. They had a home game against Reno. They had a home game. Where was this one? Is it at Reno or was this one at home?
Oh, this was a game at Reno. My bad. They had a game at Reno and they tied it 1-1. First time they've gotten points on the board in a long time. They've had such a long losing streak. So I guess
talked about that last week.
Just
a skid and a half for the Defiance right now.
Yeah, absolutely. In that game, it was just a bit frustrating because they were able to score in the first minute of the game, and had the lead all game, but gave up a goal in the 84th minute and just had to go home with a tie. But that's that kind of year for the Defiance this year. They had a 500-minute streak without a goal. So.
Yeah, so at least getting on the board is a leg up for this team. Next match is Sunday. They are at home against Fresno at home there at Cheney Stadium. So if they're at home at Cheney Stadium, that means the Tacoma Rainiers will be on the road this weekend, which is where they've been. They've actually been in Reno for the past couple of days. This a back and forth series, if you will, with against Reno last week, and had a sort of a knockout blows on either side on this one, with the Rainiers coming ahead in one game 18-9 and then losing the next night 25-9. That's not a baseball score.
No, definitely a minor league baseball score, I guess. That
right.
Was pretty interesting. Going 18-9 to win and then losing 25-9 the next day. That's just baseball at its best. But one fun thing about the Rainiers, Kyle Seager played his first game there since 2011 on a rehab stint, trying to get back for the Mariners. They won tonight. They won tonight against Fresno, 12-3. So good little thing for the Rainiers. And so if you want to see Kyle Seager and you're down in the area, make sure to come out to Cheney Stadium at some point.
Right, big league ball players at a minor league price down there. I love Cheney Stadium. I don't know if you've been to that one yet, Marku. That is a great place to watch baseball. Good minor league baseball stadium. I lived down in Tacoma for a while. I used to go to those games all the time. Great place to watch baseball. Really. I
still have to make it out there. Definitely.
Really good one. They've got let's see this. They got this 4-game home series against Fresno playing through Friday. Kyle Seager playing down there, and then they hit the road again to go to Salt Lake on Saturday through Tuesday as the soccer hooligans once again invade the baseball park down there at Cheney Stadium. All right, so from South Sound into college, things are getting heated and or wrapping up in the college season. I wanna start off here talking about the UW softball team because they are killing it right now. In fact, they had a no-hitter in the game 3 against Mississippi State to head to the Super Regionals. A no-hitter from Gabby Plain, who faced the minimum number batters of this game. She walked one batter, but they got her out of it with a double play. So she faced the minimum number of batters in an 8-0 victory against Mississippi State. That lowered her postseason ERA to 0.66. 0.66 in there. Not only that, not only was Plain amazing out there on the mound, but I guess it's not actually a mound in softball, but out there pitching. But this Morgan Flores homered again for the Huskies. She has 7 postseason home runs in her career, and then Elma Helm also homered in the game to help this one to the 8-0 victory. They are now headed to the Super Regionals to start Friday, and UW will host them actually here. It's a big deal. I saw this online. Speaking of, we talk about East Coast bias all the time. They were advertising these games and the times they put on. It didn't have a time zone in it. We're all in East Coast time. So these games were starting at like 9 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and people were like, "What? These are day games. What are we looking at?" So. East Coast bias, as always, but the UW girls softball team battling through it to another Super Regionals, and after an 8-0 no-hitter, Gabby Plain with an 8-0 no-hitter, go get 'em dogs. So from softball to baseball, Marku, I know you've been following the baseball more.
Yeah, I mean, UW baseball had a tough week after going through a nice stretch. This past month, they lost all 3 games against UCLA, who is number 1 in the country.
Yeah, that's the best team in the country, though.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to also give a shout out to those UW softball girls. They're definitely ballers. They're contending for a championship this year. I really think that they have a good chance at it. I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the softball World Series very soon. But UW baseball, they have their finals homes. They're the final series of the season this weekend at home against Cal. They're trying to just get their stride together before the Pac-12 tournament, and hopefully they will look to make another deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm going to end the season with a winning record, currently sitting at 28-22 with 3 left against Cal this weekend. Last the regular season. Other side of the state, things aren't nearly as pretty. The Wazoo season is over. They still have 3 games left, but that season's been over for a couple of months. 3 more games. They had a win against Utah this weekend after losing 2, and another 3 games at home against Arizona to wrap up their regular season. And then Gonzaga's also got some games this weekend, right?
Yeah, so Gonzaga actually starts their West Coast Conference Baseball Championships this Thursday against St. Mary's. They've had a pretty solid season this year. They won 30-22. Their final series of the season, they played Loyola Marymount, and they won 2 out of 3. They also had a game against Oregon. They're number 2 in the country this past week. They lost 10-3. So that was that game was a good test before the playoffs, and they didn't do too well, but they have a good chance to get out of the WCC. They do have the best record in the WCC, so if they have a chance to make the NCAA tournament.
They start the WCC baseball championship start Thursday. They will play against St. Mary's to get that going. So there you have it. That is our college wrap on the Wash. And we're about out of time here on the Wash. But before we get out of here, I got one more thing. Just a final note on this. Marku, we were talking about that new arena being built up there at Key Arena, about the possibility. At the beginning of the show, we talked about how maybe it could be home for the Clippers, even though that is unlikely because it's the New York Post, 60% bullshit. And we mentioned that the Storm are starting their season and not at home this season, up in Everett, and then in the American Airlines Arena at UW for the construction. That, of course, is being rebuilt for the new NHL team that's coming into Seattle. And it was reported this week that the NHL team has narrowed the name choices down to 12, Marku. Now, they didn't announce what those names were, but apparently there were like 360, quote, legitimate names in the beginning of this process. They've narrowed it down to 12. Now, they haven't said what it is. We don't know what it is. But once again, we here at the Wash are all in and got everything behind the Seattle grunge. Go grunge. Hashtag go grunge. We wanna get this going. Make sure you get it out there and let them know that this is the best way to do this. We got the St. Louis Blues, we got the Utah Jazz, and we got the Seattle grunge. Let's get this done. Don't name it after Kraken. Don't name another team after the Fish. Don't name a team after a local Native American tribe. And I would accept the Metropolitans. I could not personally root for a team called the Mets, but if you call it the Metropolitans and you hang a Stanley Cup banner the first night, I would accept that. Raise a banner the first night, but otherwise, go grunge. I think this is the way to go, Marku. Go grunge.
I agree, man. Go grunge all the way. I think we would have the best mascot with a Sasquatch dressed in flannel, got it with a Kurt Cobain haircut.
Right, be like Gritty in a flannel shirt, man. It would blow up everywhere.
It'd be super fly. I think the whole town would get behind it. You got it smells like Teen Spirit playing between intermission while the Zambonis out there. It'd be fun.
Mudhoney doing the anthem before games. That's what I want for the Seattle grunge. All right, that is our time on the Wash this week. Remember to subscribe to the Wash anywhere you get your podcasts. We are on the iTunes, we're on the Google, we're on the Spotify, and make sure you subscribe, review, leave us a review. Let us know how it's doing. Get in contact, tell us how we're doing. If you're looking for me, Lestro, you can find me every day on Twitter at More or Lestro. And if you're looking for Marku and all your Seattle sports needs, all your Seattle sports information, he is on Twitter every day at Seattle's Sports. That's Seattle S Sports. Don't forget the S in the middle. Seattle's Sports. Our man Marku out there all the time on that. That is our show for this week. As always, our thanks to the Guru for joining and talking a little Seahawks on this one. And Marku, man, it's been great talking to you. And we'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, thank you, Lestro. It's going to be a good weekend, good week with weather, so make sure you get out to a game. Going to be a lot of good live sports around. Yeah,
and if you see Marku, tell him hello and make him get a selfie and post it for you.
Absolutely.
That's our show. If it happens on Seattle Sports, it comes out in the Wash. Thanks for listening.